Can you hear me now, Sandy? You hearing me okay?
No,
But if you answered me, you heard me.
I can hear you like this. Did you
Okay.
hear me?
Do you have your
Yeah.
hearing aid in, Sandy?
Yeah, that's
Oh, if my fingers could talk.
They can talk, baby. You number one in my book. I'll have always.
Oh, let me
Come on,
tell you.
love you.
okay, everybody. Welcome to the first episode of Getting 10-8. It's a first responders podcast. Real talk, real responders. So tonight we're going to have on Sandy Dubaz is going to make a cameo. We had some technical difficulties. Yeah, I'm filming this intro after we did the podcast. And twice we got dumped out. So I said, I've got enough footage that I can cut up and put something together. So this is going to be the first episode of Getting 10-8. We're going to have Sandy Dubaz making a cameo, as I said. We're also going to have on Mike Pontius, a paramedic. Sandy's also a paramedic. Sandy was my ambulance mama. And then we're going to have a retired battalion chief of the fire department, Bud McMahon. So look forward to this episode. And without further ado, I'm going to get off here, dump in, and let's see what's going on. And then there's going to be a big chop, and then you're going to notice Sandy's missing, and I think we made note of that as well. Also, at the end, I'm going to have to do a chop at the end because it crashed out us again. So we're going to try to punt and do this next week, but hopefully this will give you a preview of the kind of stuff we're going to be talking about next week. Y'all take care, and we look forward to seeing you again. All right, everybody. So with us tonight, we have Chief Bud McMahon, who is a retired fire chief. We have Mike Pontius, who is halfway off of his screen because he's eating pizza, a paramedic legend from the coast. And my
Extraordinaire.
extraordinaire. And my ambulance mama, Sandy Dubaz. She was, when I was just a little baby medic, Sandy was one of the first paramedics that I learned a lot of stuff from, and God, I love her. She's just a great. She's as good as Mama number one, ambulance mama.
Sandy, I remember you running to ALS 1 or ALS 2. Good Lord, that's a long time ago. You remember that?
Yeah.
You were everybody's mama. You were our angel, our mama, our supervisor. Oh Lord, have mercy.
Now, I do have some stuff that I'm going to get around. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask folks going around this group. I'm going to ask everybody the same question, but we're going to round robin this. So my question is, what got you interested in the field? And you can tell what we were by our backgrounds. If you're a medic, you got the Star of Life behind you. Bud was a fire chief, so he's got the Maltese Cross Shield for the fire department. So, Bud, what was it that got you interested in doing this line of work?
Well, I've always had the desire to help and serve and people through in the community and stuff. And at 15 years old, one day at church, a gentleman sitting in front of me just happened to turn around and say, "Son, you ought to consider joining the fire department, the volunteer fire department." And I'm like, that sounds interesting. So, and I'll just be honest with you, as every person probably sitting on this podcast tonight, that old show Emergency back years ago. That's like burnt in every one of our brains.
100%.
And so that right there was it was a calling through that. There you go. That's what I'm talking about right there. Do we need to start bidding? I'll bid $1,000. Can we hear? Give me 1,000. Give me 1,000.
Sold to the man with the first bid.
Look at there. Yep, I used to watch it religiously.
I broke my cup in
but anyway,
fourth
I
grade.
went into the volunteer and doing what I could do young like that. And we had a captain at the fire department, Hattiesburg Fire Department, named J.T. Stewart. A lot of them, he was he actually flew on the helicopter as a medic out of Force General there on Rescue 7 for a while. And he was one of the first ones at the Hattiesburg to go through the smoke diver program. And he brought some stuff and set up some different stuff out at our volunteer department and put us young guys through it. And it was
What
just
volunteer
like
service was it, bud?
I jumped right on it. I jumped right in it. And I said, I have got to attend that class. And that class is what drew me into the fire service. And
what service
I got in
bud?
it and just, there's a lot of people do it for a job. It never was a job to me. It was a calling. And it was easy for me to get up in the mornings. It made me love the rescue units because I was able to not only fight the fires, but it was enabled me to do the medical calls, the wrecks. Extrication was a field that I just went right into, and I even did some extrication training, off duty. I actually was honored to get to go to train with FDNY, Captain Morris up there down in Florida. A lot of my buddies down there, Ricky Fernandez, Chief DeJesus. I could just go on and on. I had a lot of different ones. I don't want to, Jim Kaysen, a lot of guys. I mean, I got to train with Dean Shepard, all up the East Coast. I had guys we trained with. So I mean, I was able to do that, and the good Lord bless me. I was able to go even to different countries and train, and it was just a calling to me. It never was a job. It was one of the hardest decisions I ever had to turn in my retirement papers because I wasn't finished in my heart, but I don't play political games very well, and it was just time for me to go to keep my name and my family's name clean because, like I said, I wanted to go do my job, but I don't like playing political, and my main duty was to protect my guys and make sure my guys had what they needed to do their job with safely and go home to their families. And it was becoming a battle for me to accomplish that. So that's what got me in it. I love serving, and it was like a personal challenge. That smoke diver school was just a calling to me. And I started the firehouse in 1988, April 1st. I took smoke divers in October of 89. So,
well, Mike had asked you a question. He asked, what volunteer service were you at when you were 15? When you were 15, what volunteer service?
Oh, Oak Grove.
Oak Grove.
Grove Volunteer Fire. I just can't hear you now. I've lost the volume myself now. But Oak Grove Fire
That's
Department.
a great intro, man. Oh,
I'm gonna see if I'm gonna see if there's a volume button on here somewhere.
Everybody's playing with their volume.
I'm
sorry.
There we go. Now I got it. Now.
There you
y'all
go.
probably can't see my heater, but I got my heater on the back porch. You can see
Yeah,
the red.
I see that infrared coming on your head.
I had to turn those cold, man.
I thought you were trying to get a background like Bud had. Get you some red on there.
Mr. Sandy, did you get your volume to work, ma'am?
Sandy, can you hear?
Sandy,
Look.
you didn't get your volume come up?
Look, I touched the top of my screen, and you'll see a volume, and it had an X on it. Touch it, and it'll say speaker. Touch the speaker, and it come on, and I can hear good.
Here.
All right.
All right, Rob, you can have it back. Go ahead.
I'm just worried. I'm just worried we're going to run out of time again and
There
get
you go.
knocked off. So,
There you go. We can do it again.
all right. So look, let me tell everybody, because this is going to be a cut. It's going to be a rough cut between the first meeting, and everybody's going to be going, where'd that lady go? Well,
Right.
Sandy was having technical difficulties. I don't know if y'all could tell, but she couldn't hear what we were saying. We were all doing fine. And I think Sandy just got the ass and said to hell with it and left us. So in the credits, I'm going to change it to Sandy Dubaz makes a cameo.
Surprise guest. She surprised
enough was
came in
enough.
and surprisingly left.
So, but I am going to be showing that first segment because, Bud, you talked about what got you interested in the career path of being a firefighter.
Right.
Now I want to move over to Mike, who, what got you interested and started in EMS, and when was that?
High school, graduated 83. Dad was a doctor. I wasn't going to be a doctor. I didn't want to be a lawyer. I hated math. I went to Mississippi State. Charlie Robinson sang a song, said I went to college because they told me to. They didn't ask my friends. Get tired of Mississippi State, come home, pine trees everywhere down here. Me and my buddy, we would rake leaves and pine straw off of houses for beer money. And a buddy of mine, I mentioned this to you earlier, but a buddy of mine, Mike Allen, Rob, who's a nurse anesthetist now.
Yep.
He worked on an ambulance.
AmServe.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know AmServe from Joe Serve from Soft Serve. I didn't know who it was. I'd never seen an ambulance in my life. I will back up in a minute and give you a backstory. But so anyway, I said, Mike, man, what's the chance of you getting me a job? My dad's like, you ain't gonna stay here without a job. I'm like, okay. And I literally wanted beer money. That is the most true statement I can give you.
Well, you're lucky because that's about what you make.
Well, Schaefer Light was $1.99 a 6-pack, and I think I made $2.85 an hour. So I could get, about 2 cases a day. That was June 1st. I went and saw Jim Blodgett, Sarah Blodgett, John Gallardo, Sandy Dubaz, Billy Miller, AmServe Howard Avenue, old fire station #1.
Now it's a museum.
It is a museum, but I could go for days on this dadgum place. But anyway, I walk in there and Mike introduced me, and I think they went on a call right away. They had a low-top GMC ambulance with blue sky blue, or cobalt blue tinted windows on the sides of it. And I know I could probably Google it and find a picture of this. Unit 4 was the number of that, or 104, I think maybe.
104 was Biloxi's unit.
104.
107 was West Biloxi.
Yeah. And 103 was North. And 102 was Ocean Springs.
Yeah. Then they turned it to 403, and then 4. They went Jackson.
Anyway,
Jackson County ended up with 4s.
So I started June 1st, 1985, needing beer money. And like I said, I grew up sailing on boats. It is what it was. And I can remember Marilyn Mallett. You remember Marilyn Mallett? She's from Wiggins. She was about 5'2", full of piss and vinegar, and she was a cowgirl to the core.
Seems like I do.
She didn't care. She was a cute little lady, but I mean, she didn't care if you were 7 foot tall, 320 pounds. It could throw her across her. She's coming at you. She could use one of them brick radios or an oxygen tank and
clock you.
It was a lethal weapon. We didn't have gloves on the ambulance back then.
Yeah.
They had some disease coming out. You remember that disease that came out about to gate people?
And I asked them, I said, hey, do we need gloves? And they said, gloves?
Yeah. Well, then we started wearing gloves.
Yep.
And I'm telling you, that is the precipice of wearing gloves was AIDS.
100%.
Yep.
It didn't have nothing to do with TB. It didn't have nothing to do with any Ebola. It was AIDS.
Yep.
And we didn't wear HEPA mask until around 1990 when TB made a recurrence, remember?
Right.
We didn't know what gloves were before that. We didn't know what a HEPA mask was. So anyway,
Did have to take the Man 2 test, though, to prove that we didn't have it.
you talking about where you got the
Right up under your...
injection in the arm, the little round spot? Yeah. But so anyway, I started on the ambulance, and it was right across from Fire Station 1, and half the women at the fire department or AmServ were dating firemen, and half the firemen were dating women at the ambulance, and so I was commingling with the firemen. I was dating somebody. That wasn't me, but they kept saying, Mike, you need to come over and be a fireman. I'm like, man, I ain't got no desire to be a damn fireman. I don't jump out of good airplanes. I don't go and burn in houses, period.
What you missing, brother?
But I'm sorry, buddy. I love you. I respect you. So anyway, they said, hey, you can go to EMT school. I'm like, dude, I was Superman, bro. We had mask trousers, son. I could work at food as an EMT basic and save some lives. Well, you need to go and go do what they do this program called EMT Intermediate. Dude, I could do mask trousers and D5.
Start that line.
Oh, I could save some lives. Put that EOA in. Ooh, son.
Oh, yeah.
And so, hey, just keep on going to paramedic. Hollis Parish.
Oh, yeah.
EMT
Jackson
instructor.
County.
And then Bill McCopolis and Gary Shirley were the paramedic instructors. And then, so that was 85. So graduated December 88 as a paramedic and never slowed down.
And you and I both got our paramedic at the same time.
Yep.
I passed in December of 88 as well.
Yep.
When I was at Mobile Medic, you were at AmServ. And then when I was at AmServ, you were at Mobile Medic.
I came to Mobile Medic the day I got married on April 15th, bud, at 1989. I'm sorry, Rob. No, it was right.
Tax day.
I got married. I'm going to tell you the reason I got married on April 15th, because we were going on a Caribbean charter. We were chartering a sailboat, and I was going to sail it around the Caribbean. And the break point was like the 10th of April, which was midweek. Saved me like $1,500 on my honeymoon. So rather than getting married on the what would that have been, the 8th of April, we got married on the 15th of April.
Push it back a week and here's your honeymoon.
It had nothing to do with remembering it. It just saved me money.
Saving money.
Now, is Miss Lori back there behind you getting ready to hit you in the head?
No, she loves that story. She's on the phone with her cousin right now up in North Carolina. But it was just one of those things that I could not. Well, we worked some stupid shifts, Robbie. We worked Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yep.
You didn't leave, and then you were off Monday. So you worked
Monday, Tuesday.
2 off, 2 on, 3 off, 2 on, 2 off, 3 on. So you worked every other weekend, 3 days in a row.
Yeah, Panama schedule.
Yeah, I don't know what the hell you called it, but it was brutal. I said, I am not doing this as I get married. And Delahousie had been trying to get me to come to work at Mobile Medic. And I could go for days on this. So let me back up a little bit. I remember this was my first job, my real job. Somewhere in my house, I've got it today. My W-2 form from AmServ, the first full year I worked in there, or it may have been the first 6 months.
13 grand?
$9,998.
How much was it?
$9,998 and like 93 cents. Just give me $1.50, man. Just make 10,000, please.
That's what I did. I paid my first W-2 from the firehouse, and it was like I don't know. It was between 11 and 14,000 that year.
It was stupid, right?
And when I get to feeling sorry about what I'm making now, I go pull it out and look at it. I say, I come a pretty good long ways there.
Yeah.
I have never, ever forgotten that as long as I have worked. And when I think I didn't make enough one day, I just remember what I made that day.
That's right.
Yeah.
But like you said, Bud, it started as beer money. And I guess somewhere along the way, I became a decent paramedic and gave 2 shits about my patients and give 2 shits about supervisors and managers and did what was right for the patient every time. And didn't always work out well for me.
That's right.
But it always worked out for the patient.
Yep. I went to college as a diesel mechanic and hydraulic. That was my expertise there, whatever. And when I got out of college, right as I was getting out, they was giving a civil service exam. And so I took it the second time. I took it before I went in, but I got passed over due to some reasons that we won't discuss on the podcast.
There you go,
Nah,
politics.
ain't
You
nothing
know
to
what
it
that
here,
is.
buddy.
And but anyway, the second time I did get hired, which was a blessing because I was able to get on state retirement the second time. The first
There you
time
go.
I got hired, I've been on city retirement. And them guys don't get paid what they need and what they deserve, but they're starting to get, they had this new law passed that's going to help them out a lot. But
It's come a
I'm
long
glad to
way,
see
man.
that from my brothers. But anyway, I got it the second time, and then my dad, he was like, "What are you doing? They don't pay anything. You need to stay in the diesel mechanic field."
It ain't for the money.
Dad, Daddy, that's all good. I said, but a buddy of mine stayed on a tugboat for 30 straight days, and he still didn't make but 36,000 a year.
Yeah.
I said, I can make half that at the firehouse and get a job on my day off and make the other half.
Yep.
So anyway, and help the community and do what I felt like in my heart I needed to do. So I was always happy with that. I really enjoyed the fire service. It wasn't a job.
Yep.
It was, it was a calling. I mean, ain't no doubt in my mind. And I shouldn't have retired. I should have stuck it out.
Nah. If it wasn't here anymore, dude, you need to go.
Right. I
Well,
love my
you
guy,
got your full
love my job,
25.
but it was time to go. You know what I mean?
No.
Yeah,
I do what, Robbie?
You got your full 25 though, right, bud?
I did. Yep. I retired at 25, but I could have stayed another 5 and I got my
Maxed out.
50% and I
Yep.
could have added 3% per year
Yep.
and went on and then, got, some more raises and different things, but it's okay. I mean, it's all good. I had a good career. I had a bunch of really good guys working with me.
Yep.
And that you learn something from all of them. You learn some ways what you want to be better, and some of them I don't want to be like them. So everybody can teach you something.
Well, I'm gonna tell y'all how I got started.
I'm going to ask you how you got started, Robbie, because you just
All right.
the host, but we're going to ask you, how'd you get started in EMS, Rob Doherty?
I was at Pearl River Community College, and I was an assistant trainer. And I was making every practice, football practice, basketball practice, baseball practice, games, doing all this stuff, I think I was trying to get through 23 hours in that semester
Damn.
and do all that stuff. And I didn't fare too well. the academics were back burner to I got to take care of my patients,
Right.
my athletes.
Right.
And I'm sitting there and I'm getting burnt out because I know the grades aren't doing good. And one night, towards the end of football season, I see this ambulance every time we're having a game, and they're parked on standby. And I asked, I said, "Well, how long did y'all have to go to college to do that?" They said, "Oh man, this is just you go to a class on Monday, Wednesday." What was? No, it was Tuesdays
It was like
and
2
Thursdays.
days a week, man. It was like
Yeah,
Monday,
you go on
Wednesday,
Tuesdays and Thursdays for 4
I think
hours
it's
a
Tuesday,
day.
Thursday, yeah.
That's right.
Tuesday and Thursday for 4 hours a day, and 3 months later, you go take the National Registry, and
right.
you're a medic. You're an EMT basic. I
Say
said, well,
lives, baby.
how much money you make? He says, "Oh, I make 14,000." I said, "Holy crap, that's all the money in the world." So I quickly
Retire on
dropped
that.
out and went to EMT school. And when I went to go look and get a job, I said, "Well, I really don't want to work in Hattiesburg because I don't want to work on anybody. I don't want to work on folks that I know." So I said, "I'll head down to the coast." And I applied at Mobile Medic. And I got hired on it at Mobile Medic. And my very first day on the job, and I wish she'd have stayed for this storytelling, but my very first day on the job, I mean, I've got my uniform pants on with that baby blue powder stripe down the inseam.
Polyester pants with that stripe.
Oh yeah, can't wear that on fire. Got my shirt on. I'm I got my gig line all straight. My top button matches the bottom of my fly. I got my belt buckled just right and everything. I go in there
You had
and
to look dressed at that company.
yeah. So I go in there and I'm in that foyer where you can talk to the dispatcher through that window.
Yep.
And I'm standing there and I'm talking to this dispatcher, John Knight. It's my first day. I'm trying to get the feel for the place, and all of a sudden I feel somebody pow slap me in the ass. Ooh, baby, I like that. I turn around and it's Sandy Dubass slapped me in the ass. She thought I was Schultz. And she slapped me in the ass. And I said, well, sexual harassment on the first day at work. This is the place for me. This is my kind of work. So yeah, that was the beginning of my illustrious career.
Did you wreck that day?
I did not. I wrecked like a year later. Yeah. Go ahead and bring that up, Mikey.
Dude, this is. You said we ain't got no freaking holds on this.
No rules. Yeah, I did have a MVA in a unit. I was driving, and my partner Clay was in the back.
Motor vehicle crash.
Yeah, and we're coming back from Socia with an MVA. I got two patients on backboards back there. One on the one on the bench seat, and one on the stretcher. I got Clay in the jump seat up front. He's calling in his patient report. And I'm coming down 49. I'm heading to Gulfport Memorial. And it's in North Gulfport, which is now North Gulfport is all the way up to
53.
The highway.
It's all the way up to 53. Yeah. Back then, North Gulfport stopped at I-10. So the first light I was coming to, I don't know if it was MLK or what street it was. I had a green light, and I'm going. And this damn drunk driver comes through in a Pinto. And when I realize that he's coming through, he's busting a red light. This ambulance with all the cherry lights going on it, siren a blaring. And he just plows on through. Well, I broke the cardinal rule. What lane do you travel in if you're in an emergency vehicle with lights on? Left lane. Well, I think he's slowing down, so I'm going around the right to get around him. And he goosed it. He goosed it right when I was there, and I T-boned him. And, yeah, immediately. But the funny thing was, and I think John Knight, I think he probably still has this recording, but Clay Levins was actually on State Net calling in the report. And when you heard me in the background going, brace, 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 and then bam, and you hear him on the microphone. They laughed about that
else, Rob. He said something else.
But
I can't remember, but he did.
But you know, the deal is these two poor patients, they were worried about me and Clay. We had them on backboards. Said, well, y'all been in 2 MBAs tonight.
In an hour.
Still ain't seen the hospital.
Oh, Lord.
I just had to poke the bear, Rob. That was good. That was the end. That was the end of your career.
No. I went from there. Mobile Medic couldn't see their way, but Highway Patrol, I wasn't deemed at fault. But I had pissed some people off politically at Mobile Medic, and they took that as an excuse to say, yeah, you need to go up in the Delta and work for one of those ambulances up there.
Robbie, I'm going to tell you something, bro. You are as famous for that accident as I am for my smart assedness.
I don't know. I know for all the old timers, folks these days, these young medics. Now look, that's kind of one of the things I want to talk about that I've noted, because you know, now in my job I deal with prescribed fire. So I don't, you know, I'm a type 2 wildland firefighter. But we use that to do the prescribed fire. We burn 5,000 acres a year. And anyway, I decide, hey, I'm going to go back to, because I let my registry go. I can go back, take a refresher, and challenge the registry and get my basic back and be at least a basic on the fire team. I'm the guy.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to be a paramedic because then you got to deal with med control and all that. And I said, no, I'll just work off protocol and be a basic. And I went through that refresher class, and I was shocked, you know, at how much has changed since I was on the truck. I mean, you got to think about it, Mike. When we both had ACLS, sodium bicarb was a first line drug. So, you know, I go in there and they're talking about somebody with CHF, and they're saying, yeah, their pulse ox is dropping and all this. What are you going to do? I said, well, it's time for 80 of Lasix, IVP. No, we don't do that. They put them on a CPAP now. They've got thumpers that are doing the compressions for them. They've got, do you remember, Mike? It took a minute for us to tell what your blood sugar was because you had to match the colors up on your chem strip.
I was going to ask Bud that, Rob. I mean, what on the fire side when you started? Did you give any thought of being a medic?
No, it was not. Now, you know, I made EMT basic,